welcome to another Redditch Standard podcast. Editor Ross Crawford is off on his holes this week, so reporter Harry Leach and I are holding down the podcast fort. And have we got a treat for you this week? Have you ever had something go bump in the night? Do you believe in ghosts? From legless monks, ghostly horses and old secret tunnels, Redditch seems to have a lot more to it than meets the eye. And here to explain just what we're dealing with are Sam and Clem Dallaway from Ghosts of Redditch. Welcome, guys.
Hi.
Hello, Claire.
So what have we got here in Redditch?
Well, I've collected ghost stories in the town for 20 years, and there are all sorts. A lot of it is connected to a lot of Redditch history. People have seen a lot of monks around the town, obviously connected with Pawdsley Abbey and Hall Grange. There's been a ghost sighting in the prison, all around the Batchley area and the town centre.
And is this just been a lifelong obsession for you guys then? You set up the website because it's a passion of yours, or?
Yes, it's just, I like ghost stories, and I like to hear different people's accounts of what they've seen.
So come on, we want to know what you guys have seen.
Absolutely nothing.
Oh no!
But what you're trying to do is you're trying to document what is going on in Redditch, right?
Yes.
Yeah, what people are seeing.
Basically, yeah. Clem started it just to, for his own interest, really. I mean, he used to read a lot of ghost books and stuff, and then people started telling him stories, so he decided, well, I think I might just start putting this down, and then he created the website, and it just sort of went from there, really.
Fantastic.
And so you've had loads of people send you their stories?
I've collected around 100 stories so far.
Wow, and that's just in Redditch?
Yeah, and some of them are the same stories, the same areas.
Oh, that's interesting then. Yeah, sounds fine. Because last year I did a story on you guys when you were just setting up your YouTube channel.
That's right, yeah.
Is that right? Yeah, so I watched a few of your videos, actually. They're very good. And that's one of the things that you'll be doing here today
Yes.
in Webhouse.
Yeah, we're going to try and release it for Halloween.
Yeah. And what can you tell us about Webhouse? I mean, Claire, you probably know some things or heard some things.
Well, I was reading your website and I read about an angry little old lady or something that goes through, but I was actually asking my dad, because my parents own this building, and my dad was saying that when he purchased this building, the Webbs told him that one of their relatives actually hung himself in this room that we're recording the podcast in. And that was sort of 1895 to 1900. That's the sort of time gap. But, I mean, that's kind of made me a bit freaked out coming to work this morning.
Yeah.
I had no idea that someone had hung themselves in this room. But this sometimes I'm working late in this building, and it definitely is
Spooky.
a weird feeling. I've never seen anything. I've never, to be honest, actually even heard anything, but you just feel, especially around the stairs, I always think, and on that top corridor.
Well, what's actually really interesting is a lady called Rachel in sales downstairs told me last week that she saw a ghost. She saw a ghost the other day in one of the in the offices. So if you want to speak to her after, as you're going around and doing the
What
YouTube.
sort of ghost did she say it was?
She didn't say too much. She said it was just a woman. I think a woman sitting there or something along the lines in the other sales room. So it might be worth speaking to her if you
Well,
can.
we've had cleaners apparently as well, because they're often obviously here overnight, kind of by themselves, and they've often been freaked out. And some of them haven't lasted long, apparently, through the years. So there's definitely something, but it is fascinating. And also the pub next door, the Sportsman's Arms, that's apparently really haunted, I've been hearing.
Yeah, by a previous landlord.
Yeah.
Didn't want to let go of his pub.
So had you heard the same things about Webhouse? Was it the hanging and?
No, I'd not heard about the hanging. It's all I heard was an old lady in a black Victorian dress, and she looks very angry, and she walks around these stairways.
Oh, the stairways. Okay, I never knew that, but it's definitely the stairways that I always feel freaked out on.
And that's what what Rachel said downstairs. Said it was a lady sitting there.
Wow.
I want to go now.
Oh, bless you.
Apparently, people have seen her looking out of the windows too. People walking past.
And so, what do you guys are obviously the experts. What do you think it is? What are ghosts and apparitions, and what are they coming back to tell us something? Are they stuck here?
I don't know. I believe there's some type of recording from the past.
Right.
I don't know.
I always think along the same lines as well. I think it's like I heard an interesting theory a long time ago. sort of weighed out by Doctor Who, if you like. It's called a time bleed, and some people think that you sort of get a glimpse into the past or the future. So, you could be seeing a ghost from the past, or you could be seeing somebody from the future. So you don't really know whether they're, paranormal or whatever. It's just like a bleed in time. That's a theory that I heard. It's quite a scientific theory, really. But see, I don't actually believe in ghosts, but myself.
Yeah.
But it's quite interesting to read what people have experienced and seen. And I think he does a good job of documenting them and putting them on the website and bringing them to people's attention. And I think a lot of Clem's stuff is he deals with a lot of the history of the places that he reports on as well, which is really, really good. Because people are interested in the history of the places that he reports on. So it's great in all directions, isn't it?
It is.
So what are some of the best ghost stories that we've got here in Redditch?
Okay, we've got the town centre, where we have, it's around by the toilets. There was the Congregational Church.
Where are the toilets in the town centre? Am I being dum-dum here?
Well,
Do you remember where the old Mother
they
Care
used
was?
to be there? Is that right?
Yeah,
Are you talking about the toilets that's still there?
Yeah,
Oh, right,
by the
okay.
phone shop.
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
All right, yeah.
Yeah, and there was the Congregational Church, which was there and knocked down in the 60s, I think, when the redevelopment of the town.
Yeah.
And there was a graveyard, which was removed. And
I read about this. So to build the Kingfisher Shopping Centre, they had to basically dig up the bodies. It's kind of like, what is the poltergeist?
Poltergeist,
That's what happens
yeah.
in poltergeist,
Yeah,
isn't it?
but they didn't move the good bodies.
The town dug up all the bodies and put a new town in there.
Yeah.
So gosh, Redditch is a bit like poltergeist.
so around the town centre, the lift in Canon Newton House, that's been reported to move up and down on its own. People have seen a monk around in the lift and around that area, and an old lady walking along the balcony. The bookshop, The Works, people have reported books flying off the shelves towards them as they've walked through.
Sounds very Harry Potter.
Yeah. And in Primark, back when it was Owen in the 80s, a lot of people reported different things in there. A man walking around, messing with things, moving things around.
Most of that was on the lower floor, though, wasn't it? When it was Owen.
It was, yeah.
Yeah, because in Owen used to have the toy part on the floor, on the downstairs floor, and people used to report that toys were going off on their own, and things like that. Like wind-up toys would just start working and things like that, which was... I never used to go downstairs in Owen. It always freaked me out.
Yeah, that's pretty freaky. Toys starting up on their
Yeah,
own.
it was quite oppressive down there on that lower level. I always found when I was younger, but I didn't equate anything at the time. Only when we've had these stories later.
And do you think it's a lot more prevalent? Because obviously it's like people who see UFOs or something, don't they? They don't want to report it sometimes. Do you think that's the same with kind of ghosts? People will just laugh at you and...
Yeah, completely.
Yeah.
Oh, totally.
I'd love to just see something. So if you had to suggest for us to go anywhere to catch something, what parts of Redditch do you think are the most haunted?
Oh, I'd say the town centre, Bawdsley Abbey, around that area. Plenty of reports from around there. Some of the pubs.
Why are pubs are often haunted places, aren't they? Why do you think it's pubs? Why do they...
Old buildings. I suppose.
Yeah, and pubs were used as meeting places for all types of things, council meetings. Some pubs were used as a courtroom years ago. So you had all
And a lot
sorts
of
going on.
fights happen in pubs, don't they? So
Yeah,
Yeah.
you never know what's going to happen. So
plenty of spirits in the pubs.
oh, very, very many.
What about graveyards and things? Because that's where you
No.
normally think ghosts are, but is that a myth?
I've had a couple of reports from the old Plymouth Road Cemetery of a white lady, but that's it. None of the others.
Clearly they steer clear of where the bodies actually are.
What about you, Harry? Have you ever seen anything?
I haven't, honestly. No, I've never seen anything at all. But I'm very interested in the idea. When I was growing up, I really was really into ghosts. I think as time's gone on, I'm a bit like yourself. I'm just not so sure if I think that anymore. But yeah, what about yourself?
No, I just get feelings. I've never actually seen anything, but I definitely have a feeling, as I say, going down the stairs late at night. I'm always a bit scared just walking down that bit of stairs here in this building. And also my parents' house is very old. Part of it's about 500 years old. And the top bedroom, people who've stayed there say that they'll often wake up and they'll feel like a little old lady or something sitting on the edge of the bed. And our dogs will not go up there. Literally, they go up there and they just start clambering to get out. There's definitely a weird feeling up in that top bedroom. And I definitely believe in it, but I would just love to see something to have definitive proof.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll see something today.
So what are you doing? You're going around, you're going to be videoing this building, you're doing it elsewhere in Redditch as well.
Yes. What we're doing here, we're just going to recreate the scene of the old lady walking through on the stairs, really.
So are you dressing up as the old lady, or which one of you is going to be the old lady?
Unfortunately, it's me.
Are you really? Are you going to have to dress up?
Yes.
What's you going to be, like a long white flowing?
No, it's she reportedly she wears a black dress, so I've brought my black dress with me, and she has her hair in a bun, so obviously I have the extra bobble to put my hair in a bun. So. But obviously, you have to sort of make the video a little interesting. You can't just have somebody talking in the background and showing places. Clem's very good at the video editing there, and if you've seen any of the YouTube videos, we've used our son a couple of times to. As a ghostly monk, haven't we? And we've used my grandson, and all sorts. My daughter as well. Yeah, they've all sort of taken a part. But you can't actually see who they are because they're just faded out into
Myself and the dog.
Oh yes. Clem and my dog Thomas.
Did it start with the website and then moved on to social media?
Yeah,
things like that. Is that how it develops? Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just noticed from the website we had a lot of interest, and I thought I'll put this on Facebook to start with and see how it escalates.
Yeah.
And what's all this about secret tunnels, old secret tunnels in Redditch?
The secret tunnels, I've got two little stories about that. One of them is apparently from the old Unicorn Hotel, which ended up being the pub, which is now... I think it's
the insurance place.
Yeah, it's the insurance place and
cash converters and all that.
Yeah. And apparently there's a tunnel that runs from there to St Stephen's Church.
Underground?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know how true it is. And there's also another one from...
Have you not gone and asked? Have you...
No, I haven't asked her.
Oh, I wouldn't. Let's go at lunchtime.
Yeah.
I wouldn't think you'd be able to now because of the construction on Unicorn Hill and the ring road and everything. I would have thought if there was anything there, it would have been filled in years and years ago.
But the other one is on Beeley Road, and years ago my mum used to work at a pub called the Wagon and Horses, and it's right next to Mount Carmel Church. And down in the cellar, there was part of it blocked off, like another cellar door in the cellar. So when it was opened up one day, they found that some steps went underneath and there was like a tunnel towards the church.
Oh, wow. But you do often hear things like that, don't you, in towns, that there are underground tunnels for, even back in the day when they used to smuggle things and people would build like these tunnels.
And it could even go back to the time of the Reformation when it was illegal to be Catholic.
Oh, and they'd hide priests and things. Yeah, because you often get hidey holes, don't you, in old houses for the priests.
Well, of course, Mount Carmel's a Catholic church, so if the priest felt threatened, he'd just leg it to the pub.
It's not quite that old, though.
No, you know what I mean.
And of all the hundreds of people who've written in or contacted you with their ghost stories and experiences, none of them have been hurt, have they?
No.
What's the difference between a poltergeist and a ghost?
A poltergeist you don't usually see, and
because they are the ones that can hurt you. Is that right?
They throw things around apparently.
Right. Okay.
And
so that could be the books in the bookstore.
Yeah. But poltergeist activity is usually linked to teenagers who are usually in some type of emotional state.
Right.
It's believed that it could be some type of telepathy.
Telekinesis type thing,
Yeah.
yeah. It's usually pubescent teenagers that are associated with poltergeist activity. So
And goes through a whole different thing.
I don't know.
we're not sure.
I'm looking on your website. I was watching the video of the door shutting on the Abbeydale Club. Who took that video footage?
I'm not sure who took it.
It was Paul. Paul took it.
Okay, it was handed to me.
Yeah.
Well, I asked if I could share it. And he was doing some decorating in the room at the time. And he said he felt really uneasy, so he decided to set his phone up. In fact, I actually only met him 2 weeks ago for the first time.
Right.
And he was telling me the story. And I asked him I said, is it fake? Is it real? And he said, no, it's 100% real.
Oh, wow.
He said he just set his phone up on the stage area and left the room. He said 'cause he was terrified. He came back in and the phone was facing down.
Wow.
Is that on your Instagram?
On the website,
It's on the
I
website.
saw
It's
it.
on the website, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
It will actually be featured on the new video that we're doing.
Oh, right, okay.
I tell you where I think, it's not categorically Redditch, is it? But Hanbury Church.
Oh, yeah.
That has got some crazy stories. I know
Yeah.
people who've seen things there, and Hanbury Woods as well, which is
it's
very
where
close.
my great-grandparents were buried.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. And
But-
I've heard lots of stories around
Yeah,
that.
loads of people. Everyone in Hanbury seems to have a story about that church and the
Yeah.
Hanbury Woods. It's funny, isn't it, that not everybody can be lying. Surely there must be some truth to it.
Well, it's when you get stories that match.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the most interesting thing. You know, anybody can say, "Oh, I've seen an orb or a ghostly mist in my front room or something," but then when somebody sends you a story, and then somebody completely unrelated sends you pretty similar account, that's when you think, there might be something in this one.
That's such a good question. What are orbs? I always see orbs on these videos and things. What are they?
I believe they're dust.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
You don't think they're ghosts?
No.
Yeah. Or small insects, you know.
Right.
Very close to the lens. I don't know. I'm very sceptical about things like that.
Because in this day and age, though, it is very easy, isn't it, to fake footage, you know, make these... People are real video experts sometimes,
It is.
and you can put in all sorts of effects and special
Yeah.
imagery. So how can you rely on videos and
Sort of
things nowadays?
verify it, yeah.
I don't think you can. I don't think it proves anything. As you said, it's so easy to fake things these days. On the videos I create ghosts, and it's very easy to do. And I'm amateur.
Do you think in this day and age there's more people coming forward with ghost stories, or do you think there's less now that there's more technology because people are thinking, okay, everybody's using it, we can't get away with doing that anymore?
I don't know. We probably hear more ghost stories than before because of social media, and more people are using it. So I don't think many people kept a record before. Locally, we have Anne Bradford, who's written, I think she's done 7 or 8 books on local ghost stories around the Midlands and Worcestershire.
Oh, she'd be a good person
She
to have on the
would,
podcast, wouldn't she?
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's great. She was one of the people who influenced me to do this, actually, from reading her books. I met her a few years ago. And she's lovely.
So what's the plan? Are you thinking about a feature film? Are you thinking about your own coffee table ghost book of Redditch? What is the plan?
Set up a ghost cafe.
That would be awesome, wouldn't
That
it?
would be good, wouldn't it?
We nearly did have one, didn't we?
Yeah, so unsure at the moment. I'm just treating it as a hobby, really, at the moment, and see where we move to in the future.
I tell you what, I'm going this weekend on Saturday night to the Forge Mill for a ghost hunt there.
Ah, right.
There's a
okay.
ghost team apparently coming in, and I'm covering it for the paper, and I'm
awesome.
going to write about it. But that's exciting. But I'm a little bit scared. I don't know. You know, I pretend to be all brave and stuff, but I think it's going to be a bit scary at 2:00 in the morning in an old Forge Mill, and that place has got some pretty crazy stories, hasn't it?
Yeah, there's a story of a woman who was apparently having an affair with, I'm not sure if it was an owner or a manager, years and years ago. And when he rejected her, she threw herself into the river and got mangled up with the water wheel.
Oh
apparently.
no!
That's
And
the
people
story.
have seen her, have they?
Yeah, upstairs.
Oh my goodness,
That's
that's just
dramatic.
giving me chills.
Yeah. Look forward to that then.
Yeah. So when are we going to be able to see your video that you put together and you magnificently walking down the stairs being the old lady of Redditch? Does she have a name, by the way, this old lady here?
No.
And it might be worth doing some investigation to find out who the man who hung himself in this room is.
That'd be interesting.
He was a Webbs, that's all we know, apparently. But scary stuff, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's planning to release this DVD around about Halloween, aren't you?
Yeah, but I might do a preview over the next few weeks. So
Keep your eyes peeled for that.
Yeah.
And so if anyone does have any ghost stories, how do they get in touch with you? And they won't be ridiculed, will they? If they
no,
go
not at all. And I always publish the stories anonymously.
Right.
Best way is probably through the Facebook page, or there is an online form on the website, which people can just fill in. And I respect everybody's confidentiality, and I do keep everything anonymous.
And what is your the website is just Ghosts of Redditch?
Yes, ghostofredditch.co.uk.
Okay, and is that the same on Instagram and Facebook and all those?
Yes, facebook.com/Ghosts of Redditch and instagram.com/Ghosts of Redditch.
Well, it's been a real treat talking to you, and
It has.
we can't wait to find out what you learn about this building
I know.
and see how it all turns out. Harry, you seem to be a little bit more uneasy now working here.
Well, I mean, I've only been here just over a year, but I'd already heard of these ghost stories from other people that work here, so I'm really interested to see what you find out, and I'll be keeping my eyes peeled for the video.
Yeah, and if you do want to come in one night and just let us know.
That'd be lovely.
Interesting.
The cleaner might get a fright, but
You can video her reaction as she,
as you bang on the window.
that'll be fun. Yeah. Oh well, thank you so much for coming in and talking to us. Is there anything else you want to say, or?
No, that's
No,
it.
just thank you very much for having us.
Thank you.
It's been
Enjoyed it,
delightful.
thank you.
Thank you. Don't go anywhere, because we'll be right back with some more ghostly goings on with Rachel Henson, who works here at the Standard and has seen some pretty spooky things happening in our very own offices. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the Redditch Standard podcast because you have impeccable taste.
So we're now in the studio with Rachel Henson, who actually works here at the Redditch Standard. And we just heard when we were doing this podcast that Rachel actually had an experience here in Webb House. Rachel, what did you see?
Oh, well, basically, I mean, I've seen a few. I've seen a few here. Generally, there's a man that creeps up behind me in the kitchen when I'm in early in the morning. But the other week, I just turned round from the printer in the office and there was a man sat at Kathy's desk, one of my colleagues' desk. She wasn't in, so he was just sat there with his arms folded, and I could see him as clear as day, which I can. But when she came back, I described him to her. At first, she was a bit, I don't know, I'm not too sure who that would be. But then she realised it was her brother who'd passed away some time ago. He was just visiting her. He wasn't there to do any harm. He was just literally visiting her.
Wow, is this usual, Sam, Clem?
Well, it can be. Some people are what we like to say sensitive. I have never been lucky enough to be a sensitive, and I do quite envy people that are.
Yeah.
I'm quite interested to know how you see them and if they ever communicate with you. And
Yeah, I'm a practicing medium.
Oh, are
and
you?
clairvoyant, yeah. I do platform work, demonstrations, private readings, so I do see them. Some more than not, it's always in my mind's eye, so they come to me through that and send little signs to me. But sometimes they catch me unaware. I'll just turn around and they're there, and I can see them as clear as I'm looking at you.
right.
So yeah.
And have you always been like this ever since you were a child?
Since I can remember sort of the age of 5, I used to see people milling about. told Mum about it, and she used to tell me off saying that we'll send you off to the funny farm. So I suppressed it for quite some time, but then started developing it, just going to classes and developing it, and realising that I wasn't a nutcase. They were really communicating.
So is it like Ghost? You know the movie Ghost? When...
Well, I mean, that's the problem, isn't it? All these films and all the things that you read, there's that sort of spooky element and that romantic element. It's just plain and simple. They communicate with you. I also do trance work as well, where the spirit will overshadow me, and that's interesting because you literally feel as though you're in somebody else's body, and you go into a state of trance. It's not dangerous. People always think that, you know, these things are, but they're not dangerous.
Well, that's Hollywood again, isn't it, then, when you do it?
Yeah,
because
it's nothing like that.
And so when you saw the brother downstairs in the office, he didn't try and talk to you or anything?
He said hello.
He said hello.
Yeah.
And did you say hello back?
Yeah, all in your mind. You talk to them in your mind.
But you could see... You could see... Well, so...
With him, he took me unawares. He caught me by surprise. He literally was just sat there with his arms folded. And when I described him to Kathy, she said, yeah, that definitely my brother. But all he was doing was just waiting for Kathy. He was just... Yeah, she wasn't in, so he was just sat there waiting. But as I say, he caught me unawares. Generally, if I'm going for a private reading, if I'm doing a private reading, I'll just have a short sort of meditation and then bring in spirit world.
And how do you know that it's a spirit and not a real person? Like on that occasion, when he said hello, were you not thinking, oh, maybe you're a real person?
No.
You just know.
Yeah, definitely. Because of the clairvoyancy and clairsentience and that sort of thing. All your clair senses come to the fore, and within a snap decision, you know that it's a spirit and not a real person.
Have you ever tried to touch them or?
No, not really. There's no need. The communication is enough. You don't need to touch them at all, but you know you do feel as close to them as if you are touching them, so it's not a problem.
And have you ever seen somebody come to you or like that with another person present? Can they see them?
Yes, because the spirit world, I mean, there's no time in the spirit world from what I believe in, but very often when somebody's just passed over, they need somebody to help bring them forward. So I very often get a relative who's bringing the spirit forward that wants to talk. Very often as well, I get a bus queue, as I call it. So when I'm on platform, I'll get lots of chattering and lots of people.
It is a bit like the movie Ghost in that respect.
I suppose in that respect, yeah.
Do you get any weird feelings from this room? We've just learned, I only learned this the other day, that Webb killed himself. We thought it was hanging, but new information has come to life that he actually shot himself. But do you get any feeling from this room?
I'd literally need to sort of concentrate and get in the zone, because what you have to do with mediumship is you have to get your physical brain out of it, because if your physical brain's there, it'll chatter like a monkey. You've got to get that out of the way, and then you've got to go to your spiritual brain. So what I'd do is I'd just sit and concentrate, do a bit of short meditation. I don't have to do that, but it would be better when you do that, because you clear your mind of all the clutter that's going on downstairs, obviously with me working and that, so I could do it that way.
And the man who grabs you from behind or goes to grab you in
Well, no, he doesn't do anything like that. Literally, as I'm in the kitchen, because when I'm here first thing in the morning, it's not every day, but I've started to feel his presence, and when I've turned round, he's gone. But then I see him in the other offices, and there's a tall man, and there's also a lady with dark hair. I get the impression, without sort of speaking to them, because I didn't really speak to them, that they perhaps have worked here at some stage, so they feel comfortable here.
Or lived here. We've just learned there's a little old lady apparently that walks around called Catherine.
I've not seen her.
And she lived here back in the day. That's what we've heard from your reports.
Yeah. But I mean, the building anyway steeped in sort of like history and feelings, and when I came for the interview, it was a nice feeling. I felt really sort of comfortable here. But yeah, it's a nice building. It's a lovely building. It's full of different energies. Each room that you go in is full of different energies.
Because you go some places, don't you, and you can feel like badness. But even if this place is haunted, it's definitely a nice haunting.
No, it's not. It's not a bad haunting at all. And I mean, again, a lot of it is hype. Spirits don't generally want to frighten you. They want to communicate with you and let you know that they're still around and that they're looking after their loved ones and looking over them. So
And are you from Redditch, Rachel?
I live in Bromsgrove,
Live in
but
Bromsgrove.
I used to live in Shirley.
Have you heard of any other stories, or do you go anywhere particularly in Redditch? Because you guys obviously will be interested in this, because they're collating all these stories on Redditch Ghosts. Are there any particular places that you could recommend?
No, I've not really sort of explored that. I mean, I go when I do platform, I go to other places like Coventry and Shirley and Bromsgrove. So, I'll go to wherever somebody needs me, or wherever somebody wants a reading. But generally, they'll come to me, so I'll have readings at home.
And we were talking about it earlier, weren't we? We were saying, are they often coming back to give us a message, or can they not get through to the other realm or side, as you want to call it?
Yeah.
What do you think it is?
Well, basically, when they come through for a message, I mean, quite often, because again, we're all physical beings, we're not listening to them. We'll see something, or we'll turn the radio on and there's a song, a favourite song of theirs, or the message in the song is what they're trying to communicate with you. But if you're not open to that, you don't realise it's just another song on the radio. But that's the sort of communication that they try to make. And even just, they can literally move things as well in the house. You'll be like putting something down and thinking, I know I just put that there. And they'll move it, but that could very often be just a spirit that's a little bit playful, So they do try and communicate.
Have you ever had somebody a bit like Oda Mae Brown and goes, sorry to keep going back to that, have you had somebody who comes to you and says, I have to get this message, the will is behind the picture in the living room, or something like that? Have you?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've had a reading where there was the deeds of a house that was lost, or so they thought, and then they told, through the spirit, I was able to tell the person, the recipient, where the deeds were. So they'll be quite specific if you need them to.
Gosh, what a talent! I'm jealous. I'd love to have that.
We've all got it in us, but it's just about developing it, and it's about sort of wanting to develop it. A lot of people are frightened of it, aren't they? And they'll be like, "Oh, I don't really want to delve in it," because again, the hype is it's all black magic and it's all scary. It's not at all.
So if you have somebody that's absolutely desperate to speak to somebody that's passed, but doesn't really believe, how do you handle that?
Well, my brother passed 4 years ago, and he had the type of funeral that he had was completely devoid of religion or anything like that, because he used to call it a load of tripe, basically. But I communicate with him now, and he believes that obviously that there is something there. Again, when you're reading for a recipient, you can only give them the messages that Spirit's given you. You can't force them to believe it, And I always say that. I'm like, well, do you know what? I'm just a communicator. I will give you the information. It means nothing to me, but I'll give it to you. If they still don't believe it, there's not a lot anybody can do.
So have you ever had an instance where you're sat talking to somebody and pretty much like Claire said, like the film, there's somebody in the background saying, I need you to tell this person this. I need you to...
But as a medium, you do have to sort of segregate them, because you will, as I say, you have very often a lot of spirits coming through, not just for the person you're doing a reading for, but just generally coming through, either being nosy or wanting to give you a message to take back to somebody that you know. So you just have to really sort of channel it as a medium and say, look, I'm literally going to be giving this message first, and then I'll come back to you, like you would a normal person if you were, serving in a shop. I won't be a minute, I'll come back to you.
Yeah.
You have to do it like that, otherwise you would get all the chatter. You also have to close yourself down, because, again, when you've been communicating with spirit, you have to then say, well, I'm finished now. The close sign is on. So it's important to do that as well, close yourself down, otherwise you'd be wide open and you wouldn't get any rest.
And can you ask them questions? Can you? Have they told you what the afterlife is like? Have they told you what happens to you when you die? Have they?
Yeah, there's certain things that they will tell you, certainly. But I mean, obviously, what you have to be aware of is that the way that they communicate with you is one thing for you to learn. They will only tell you what they feel you're ready to learn. They will only tell you what they feel is relevant at the time. If you keep pushing and they don't want to tell you, then you're on a hiding to nowhere, but much the same as you would a physical being. They don't make out as though, the afterlife is all light, it's all this, it's all that. I know for a fact that, certainly what I believe is time does not exist in the spiritual world. They're full of energy, and energy is all around us. It's not as if you suddenly go up to the sky. I don't believe anyway. But again, you have to be careful as a medium because you can't sort of cloud anybody else's judgment. But I personally believe that literally we're all energy, and energy is all around us. There's not a little place up in the clouds where spirit live. It's all around us.
So is there a time frame? Do certain spirits take longer to come through than others?
Yeah,
say they've had a traumatic death, that take longer for them to come back?
Yeah, it doesn't always have to be because of that reason. A lot of it can be, like my brother, he just did not believe in anything to do with the spirit world. So he was very sort of stubborn, if you like, and he only started communicating when he was developed, because they develop as well in spirit world. They grow up in spirit world. Again, there's no time to it, but you can have literally communication with a little girl, and you communicate with them for years, and they grow up in spirit world as well.
Oh, so they don't stay children?
Not necessarily. Again, it'll depend on what their next incarnation is,
right,
or what their purpose is. So I've literally communicated with a little girl since, just before my daughter was born, and she's now 21. And I communicate with her, not often, but when I do communicate with her, she's older, and she tells me that she's older, and I see that she's older. So yeah, there is growth in the spirit world as well, but all for a massive reason that I can't possibly explain. Yeah.
So you massively believe in reincarnation?
Oh gosh, yeah, definitely, without a doubt.
Amazing. Gosh,
Yeah.
it's so enlightening. Thank you
No,
so
you're very
much,
welcome.
Rachel.
You're
You've
welcome.
just been... How interesting is this? I love this podcast. I think we need to do more of these. Because, yeah,
It is. It's fascinating, definitely. But thank you.
Thank you
for
so
the
much.
time. Okay.
Thank you for listening, and thanks so much too to our very own Rachel Henson here at The Standard. I had no idea she had all those experiences. And also thank you to the wonderful Clem and Sam Dallaway for sharing all their invaluable knowledge and stories as well. If you hear something go bump in the night, or you see something that you can't quite explain here in Redditch, do contact Ghosts of Redditch. Also, if you know anything about those tunnels under Redditch, please let us know, as I'm dying to find out if they're still there. I volunteer to go down and do a recce. Famous last words, right? Thank you too for listening, and also to Harry Leach, my co-host today. Ross Crawford, our editor, will be back next week. And remember, if you have a story for us or want to get in touch, please pick up the phone 01527 588 688, or contact us through social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, we're on them all, through our website, redditchstandard.co.uk, or pop into our office. We're on the Church Green, opposite the church. Happy weekend, one and all, and see you at the carnival this weekend. We can't wait.